Alrighty everybody, welcome back to Culz Book Reviews. Today we are going to be checking out Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This one I picked obviously because there was the new quote-unquote movie adaptation of the story, which as of recording this I haven't seen. As of releasing, it has come out, so you guys will have already seen our Culz Talks Pop Culture episode, so you guys should know my thoughts as far as comparisons there. But before I go into my thoughts of this book, let's take a look at the cover. Alright, so this is going to be the Penguin Classics edition. You can see a nice watercolor painting of it. Looks like two people in perhaps a snowstorm. And then you see the author there, Emily Bronte, and Wuthering Heights, the title. On the side we see the author, Emily Bronte, Wuthering Heights, the Penguin logo, and Penguin Classics. On the back we see a little bit about the novel and the impact it's made, as well as the Penguin Classic. You do see a little bit about the painting. It says, "Detail from Figures in a Storm" by Joseph Mallard, William Turner, circa 1835 to 1845. Watercolor on paper, and then that ISBN if you need it. This one clocks in at 337 pages, and it is all words. So without further ado, let's get to my thoughts. So Wuthering Heights is Emily Bronte's only novel. The last name Bronte, I'm sure you guys probably know from her sister Charlotte Bronte, who did Jane Eyre. And while I'm sure a lot of people view this more as a romance novel, it really isn't. It does have romance in it. It spans a couple generations and talks the kind of entanglement or spider webs of romance there, but it is more of a story of loss and longing and revenge and scheming in a way, and death. I will say death plays heavily into the story, lots of death, because it does take place over multiple generations. So I think in that sense it would make sense that people die, but a lot of the death is younger, especially nowadays. Some of the people are dying in their 30s and 40s, so people aren't very old. And there are ghosts, or I know people have run off, maybe it's just a dream, but I like to think of the spirit that came and attacked Lockwood or tried to get into the room. I like to think that wasn't a dream and that was a legit ghost. Going to the 1800s, I think it is very interesting how much we get from ghosts. Even if you look at A Christmas Carol had multiple ghosts. We all know that, but it's just kind of funny to see how present they were in different stories. And this story really kicks off in the year 1801 when Lockwood, kind of pseudo the main character, or at least person hearing all the stories, takes up residence for the night at a manor called Thrushcross Grange. And that is one of two houses that are really prominent in the story, kind of divided by the moor. The other is Wuthering Heights, and it's really told in past as Lockwood goes around and talks to different people about Heathcliff, who was brought over and raised up as part of the family. He was adopted into it, and because his father, or adopted father, liked him better, kind of drew bad blood with the actual brother. And once his father passes away, the other brother steps up and makes him be a servant. Then he runs away, comes back sophisticated. Catherine tries to be friends still, and they do sort of start to develop feelings towards each other, but it's not meant to be. And because of some bad choices, sneaking into property, her getting bit by a bulldog, she stays at the Grange for 5 weeks, gets raised there, comes back different. That's why Heathcliff leaves. He hears her kind of talking down and how demeaning it would be for her to even share a life with him, right? And there's a lot of, like I said, treachery and just scheming between Catherine, who dies, and Kathy, her daughter, and Heathcliff, his estranged son, who forces into marriage by kidnapping. I mean, it's wild. We'll see. I haven't seen the movie as of yet. You guys already know my thoughts on it, being when this is going to be released, but just not the romance that I think people tend to make it out to be. Now, as far as writing style, it is very poetic, and of the times, if you read books from the 1800s, I think you know what I mean. There's just a style and aesthetic that these books are written to. I don't think this feels as much of the times or a slog as the Bell Witch one or even Sleepy Hollow. And definitely not The Republic, but that book's way older, so not fair to compare that one. But it's not as easy as, I will say, A Christmas Carol. Now, I know people love it. I think it is written well. It's just not the normal type of book I would read. I think given that the story was interesting, I will say that it kept me intrigued on what was going to happen. This isn't my first reading, but I think upon like a second reading, you'll notice things here and there that you didn't, especially if the writing style for some people might be a little bit harder to get past. And so reading it a couple times, or even if you have to go listen to audiobook maybe, I think you'll start to hear more of the story. And overall, it's not terrible. I know people are going to hate me for my rating. I'm going to say like a 6 out of 10 personally for me. Just not the type of book I usually pick up and read, but I will say given that it's 1800s, it doesn't feel super dated. I mean, it does at times, obviously. But I think just Bronte's writing style is really, really good. There's lots of good detail, and you feel the longing and just tragedy in the people's voices. But other times you're like, man, why are these people doing that? I don't know. So overall, I know there's a huge fan base for this. It's a classic for a reason. It's better than The Republic. It's better than Sleepy Hollow. It just doesn't feel as timeless as like A Christmas Carol. But it's not to say I don't recommend it. I don't think this is for everybody, but I do think it's worth a shot to check out. So go check that out. But until next time, guys, for more Culz book reviews, click that link to your left. For more about us here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know, have you read Wuthering Heights, and what do you think of it versus the brand new film adaptation? Tell us in the comments below.